ho, a new episode of AI's Hit. This time, the photographer we're going to look at has a strong history, and as last week, we will attempt to discover or rediscover that photographer, asking AI to explain for the better or for the worse. And please check your own sources and compare to see if it's all true or if it only makes sense. And again, I will rely on OpenAI, DALL-E, and Midjourney for illustrations, and ChatGPT for the historical data. So let's ask AI, do you know a little bit about the bio of this photographer?
He was a German-Australian photographer. He was born in Berlin, Germany in 1920 and began his career as a fashion photographer in the 1940s. He moved to Australia in 1940 to escape the Nazi regime and later moved to Paris, where he established himself as a leading fashion and portrait photographer. He is known for his controversial, sexually charged images and his use of powerful, independent women as his subjects. He shot for the most important fashion magazines such as Vogue, Harper's, Bazaar, and Elle, and also did portraitures of celebrities and artists. He also published several books of his photographs, including White Woman, 1976, Big Nudes, 1981, and Sleepless Nights, 1992. His work has been exhibited in galleries and museums around the world, and he continues to be considered one of the most important and influential photographers of the 20th century.
Okay, so again, like every week, now we're getting used to it. There is some inspiration, at least visible inspiration, of the work of Helmut Newton, who's this week's photographer. I've asked for illustration DALL-E to give us pictures related to the text as usual, and yeah, I find it really interesting how inspired it is. AI, could you tell us more about his style?
Helmut Newton was a German-Australian photographer known for his distinctive and controversial fashion and nude photography. His photographs are known for their bold, striking compositions and his tendency to push the boundaries of taste and propriety.
Okay, so those two pictures, the picture on the right, obviously there's some reference to some of Helmut Newton's work with those very characteristic woman-shaped models he used with long legs, quite typical for his work, and those poses, as we can see with the picture on the left. We can also see there's the black and white that's emphasized in those two examples, but let's hear a bit more.
One of the key characteristics of his style is his use of strong, often contrasting light and shadow, which he used to create a sense of drama and tension in his images. He was also known for his use of bold, graphic lines, and his compositions often featured strong, geometric shapes.
Here again, it's quite striking. We do find those long, elongated, I would say, models in those photographs. DALL-E's doing quite a good work here. And also those positions, those postures, quite in your face, like as we can see on the picture on the left, and very fashion, very geometric and very linear, with long curves, image construction. I find it very impressive this week. Let's continue.
Another key feature of his style is his tendency to photograph women in a highly sexualized and objectifying way. His photographs often depict women in powerful, dominant poses, and his images are often seen as challenging traditional notions of gender and sexuality.
Okay, and again, two pictures where the models are quite typical. Again, very long legs, this very typical way, very stylized way of Helmut Newton of representing the woman body, but at the same time, lots of strengths. And I found the picture on the left quite interesting with this tiny figure in the background or underneath, as if it was going to be walked on by the main woman character of the picture. Really interesting, in my opinion. And again, here, very little color photographs, but some color on the right picture, quite typical and look-alike of Helmut Newton's models and type of representation in fashion. And really interesting. But as we have an AI Helmut in our at our disposal, let's ask for the weekly custom creation. So, one man facing two women looking at each other wearing classy glamorous suits in a Berlinese ballroom with dancers in the back. Photo in the style of Helmut Newton. Okay, so the two first pictures are interesting. Those AI tools often prohibit nudity, but here the picture on the right obviously went through and looks like this woman figure is naked and holding this man. Again, on the two pictures, we have those very caricatural, manly figures, and those women who are highly sexualized, but also at the same time showing lots of confidence and some kind of freedom comes out of those pictures. So interesting. Not sure about the ballroom style. Here again, I find those two pictures really interesting. As we can often find in Helmut Newton's works, there's some interaction in between the characters in the pictures. There's something going on, and as we as viewers are kind of outside of the story, but there's a story going on, and obviously some kind of interaction, power interaction between those strong, or at least explicitly showing strengths, woman, quite naked, quite actually a male representation, of course, but I find it pretty convincing. I would have kind of guessed Helmut Newton if we had showed me those two pictures. And then, since we've done that for a few weeks, let's use another tool, which is Midjourney. And here, that's, I think, a good example of what we've already seen. It's those AI tools for some of them, tend to also add their own style. And I think we definitely can recognize Midjourney's style of representing haircuts, male and women figures. Even so, those two pictures could quite correspond to Helmut Newton's idea of building a picture, but I don't feel it's as convincing as DALL-E in this case. But anyway, in all cases, hopefully that was entertaining. I highly recommend you go discover Helmut Newton's work in museums, galleries, in books. There's loads of them, and online, of course. And yeah, and catch you next time.